But strangely, at this moment, I am actually feeling quite relaxed.
Hey.
Welcome to Working Title, the show where we talk about books, movies, and everything in between. It has been 3 years since the first time I ever talked about the After series, and almost 3 years since I had to remake my review of the After series because I don't know how to YouTube. But a lot can change in 3 years. So, I want to rewatch the movies and listen to my previous reviews and see what I agree with, what I don't, and tell you where I'm at now when it comes to this series. So, let's jump into it. I forgot how much I love this movie. It's all of the love and heartbreak and drama that I love about shows like The Vampire Diaries or Teen Wolf. Plus, Hardin is so much fun, and he's so sweet in this movie. He listens when Tessa talks about her dad. When Tessa's mom cuts her off, his first thought is, I have to do something. And there's not a lot, but the few sensual, I guess, scenes that there are, he is so sweet and gentle with her. He checks in with her, asks if she wants him to stop. God, why can't all guys be like that? I love this movie so much, and if it had been left at this, I wouldn't have the vitriol for this series that I always did. But something occurred to me while I was watching it. I was wondering why. Why do I like this movie so much? And I think it's catharsis. I've seen this movie at least twice now. And both times I've watched, I was coming out of a really shitty breakup. There's something therapeutic about the ending montage of Tessa moving on from Hardin and getting her life back together. I think that's why I enjoy the first After movie, because it provides hope for people with broken hearts, that it can get better, that it will get easier. So, the first After movie, I give it an 8 out of 10. Is it a perfect movie? No. But there is something there for audiences to enjoy. The way I clapped when Candace King came on screen. You do not understand how much joy this woman brings me. I love that everybody low-key hates Molly. Don't do Molly, kids. Take that however you want. I don't think Dylan Sprouse wanted to be in the sequels because after this movie, it'll be like he never existed. I totally forgot that Hardin and Tessa actually do hook up in the hotel room. I remembered it as he chickens out. Also, how the fuck does Hardin have her location? The first time I watched this, I did not register that Trevor was joking about hooking up with Hardin. So now I feel robbed of bisexual Hardin. Trevor wants to fuck her so bad. He not only calculates the cost of owning a car versus Uber, but he found her a car and got Vance to agree to put it on the company insurance. The first time I watched this, I didn't understand why Tessa goes back to the apartment. But now I think it's for closure. Now that Hardin is supposedly gone, it shows the audience that despite what he did and the so-called hatred she feels, she does miss Hardin and the love they shared. I forgot that Hardin's mom straight up looks like an older Tessa. But like, his mom is so sweet. I love her. I don't know why, but there's something special about the way he touches her stomach. I can't explain it. There's just something so sweet and intimate about it. I have such complicated feelings about Noah. I do like him as a character, but making him her boyfriend instead of, like, her brother adds so much unnecessary awkwardness. How is her mom seriously going to compare keeping Tessa's father away from her to Tessa hiding her relationship with Hardin? They aren't the same thing, Carol! Also, the fact that she goes to Hardin for comfort. I don't know why, but this Christmas party reminds me of that one scene in Vampire Diaries where Matt's mom tried to hook up with Tyler. God, that was a wild show. Now, should Hardin have snapped on his dad at his Christmas party? No. But at the same time, this has been building for years. You knew it was coming. I think this Christmas party is the start of their relationship's downfall. Because after this, Hardin starts falling into his self-destructive tendencies that he really won't get out of until the final film. Some of my favorite scenes are honestly just them having fun. I love watching them laugh with each other. I don't think I give hero Finis Tiffin enough credit. He really is an amazing actor, and he does so well in these films. I will concede I may have been a little harsh on this movie during my initial watch. That pile of word vomit you just listened to was my thoughts as I was rewatching it. As I'm sure you could tell, I had a really good time. Do I think it's as amazing as the first one? No. But it doesn't have to be. And as a sequel, I don't expect it to be. It's pretty good as it is, and I think now that I'm older and I'm in therapy, I can understand a lot of decisions in this movie, especially Hardin's. It's going to be painful watching him fall down this self destructive cycle. But that's what I imagine it's like having a family member that struggles with addiction. There are highs and lows, and sometimes you just want to shake them and tell them to get their shit together. But you can't force them. It's like watching characters on a screen. You can't make them get help. They have to want it. But I think a lot of the critics that call Hardin this irredeemable monster and the worst boyfriend look over the fact that he's an alcoholic. That's a fact that is addressed by him and multiple other characters multiple times. Does that excuse his actions? No. But it explains them. You understand why he does the things that he does. Yeah, he fucks up. Massively. But we also see he's a sensitive guy with a lot of trauma who genuinely cares about Tessa. I know when I initially reviewed After Everything, the final movie in this series, I commented how it made me like Hardin again. But rewatching the series, the seeds were always there. They just got clouded by the stupid actions. Also, you can't talk about After without talking about the sex scenes. I praise the first movie for its sensual and romantic scenes. And despite having more sex scenes in this one, they no longer have that sensual romantic vibe. Which makes sense if you think about it. The first movie is primarily from Tessa's perspective. Her narration opens the film and we mainly follow her. At the start of the first movie, she's a virgin. This is all new to her. And Hardin knows that, so he's a lot more careful with her. But we're in a sense seeing these through Tessa's eyes, the way she looks at these moments. The second movie, by contrast, is a lot more of Hardin's perspective. His narration opens this one. He has more experience than Tessa. He doesn't look at these moments with the same rose colored glasses that she did. It's also rougher. I don't want to say experimental, but they're a lot more adventurous, which again makes sense. By this point in the story, they've already crossed that line. There's also the fact that they're college kids in a semi-new relationship and are really fucking horny for each other. So, I know I criticized these scenes in my initial review, but now I can understand they're like that why they're like that a little bit more. Also, I want to appreciate how willing he is to go down on her. Like, she doesn't even have to ask. He just does it. Again, I ask, why can't all guys be like that? So, After We Collided, I think I give it a 9 out of 10, which I know is higher than what I rated the first one, after I just said I didn't think it was as good as the first one. That's honestly because the first had some technical decisions with the writing that just bothered me. As I mentioned in my reaction, I do think Noah is would be a better character if he wasn't Tessa's boyfriend. And you don't really get a sense of time to understand the pace of this romance. Whereas this one, we're told at the beginning that it's been a month since the first one. We see them go through Christmas, and the movie ends shortly after New Year's. So, for those reasons, I rate After We Collided higher, but story wise, I prefer After. After We Fell, a masterclass in why communication is important. Hardin's car kind of reminds me of Dean's from Supernatural. Nothing brings me more joy than Tessa's dad and Hardin getting into a bar fight with a guy who made a comment about Tessa. Okay, I did not realize how dark it actually is in my room, but... Okay, so I'm watching After We Fell and I just had to record this because this is too much to type. So, Tessa and Hardin are having the I thought you were going to follow me argument. Basically, Tessa got a job offer in Seattle. Hardin wants to move to London. The other thought, they each thought the other was going to follow them. But, so they're talking about that. And, Hardin's like, I understand you have this job opportunity. That's great. But I have nothing. And you know what? That's a good point.
if Hardin followed Tessa, he has nothing but her. He wouldn't really know anyone there. You know, being an alcoholic, he would struggle with the nightlife in Seattle. So, like, I kind of understand where he's coming from. Now, on the flip side of this, if Tessa moved to London, it would be the same problem. She would have nobody there but Hardin. So I actually, I know I talked a lot of shit about these arguments because they are constant in this movie. But, like, I kind of get it. Like, I understand now where Hardin is coming from, and he's not being completely unreasonable.
How you know they revealed Vance as Hardin's father in this one? They replaced his actor with a British one. I know them quoting books can seem very pretentious, and it is, but it's also a reminder that Hardin is a massive nerd. 45 minutes left. These movies are so fucking long. I don't despise this movie. I don't even really dislike it, but it feels like it will never fucking end. I literally panicked thinking I had gotten to the part where her dad dies. Nope, just got the shit beat out of him. I actually think, though, what makes her dad such an important character is because it's a mirror for Hardin. It's what he can become if he doesn't get help.
So I've reached the point now where Tessa has just been told she might not be able to have children. I didn't really feel anything about this then, and I really don't feel anything now. Then it was just because I genuinely don't care. Like, this. Ultimately, it does nothing for the story. But now, having watched the entire series and knowing that in the future, Tessa and Hardin have, I think it's 2 kids with a third on the way, it's like, okay, so that literally amounted to nothing. So, I honestly question why this is here, other than to give Josephine Langford a reason to cry. I don't know. Something stupid I just noticed is, since the second movie, Hardin has been wearing this, like, black ring, and in the final one, he's going to take that ring off and use it to propose to Tessa, and on that same hand, he has a king and queen, like, suit, you know, like, card suits tattooed on his fingers, and the finger that the ring is on is where the queen tattoo is. It is so stupid, and I don't think it's intentional, but I just picked up on that, and I kind of love it.
As much as I hate the runtime, I love how this ending scene is done. It's fucking art, man. I love that they don't immediately go in for the kiss, they just hold each other for a minute. What can I say? I actually like this movie. I know, I've called it entertaining trash before. But I don't know, something about this watch through. I'm actually starting to enjoy this series. I do complain about the runtime a lot, and that most likely is an issue with the pacing. But otherwise, I really like this movie. Controversial opinion, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. As much as I like it, and I really like it, the pacing makes it feel like it's never going to end. So I just can't rate it as high as I would like. Hardin's emotional turmoil has resulted in arson.
Smoke is in the air. I wasn't into arson, but look at what you started.
After We Fell, the start of Hardin's rock bottom. I honest to God would love to talk to Anna Todd about these movies. I actually think you could make an interesting character study out of Hardin. He reminds me a lot of Frank Gallagher. If you haven't watched Shameless, it's a really good show. But like Frank, Hardin has his moments. You can tell that he cares about Tessa, just like Frank has his moments where he's a good dad to his kids. But then the rest of the time, you want to just shake them and tell them to get their shit together. I think Hardin and Frank are 2 ends of the spectrum. Hardin is the good ending, the man that gets help and gets the happily ever after in the end. Kimberly is great. As sad as I am that they replaced Candace King, Ariel Kebbel is such a good actress. Who knew all it took for Hardin to forgive his dad was to find out he isn't actually his dad? Why am I enjoying myself? What the fuck was I going through when I watched these movies the first time? The book that Hardin writes has to be a legal nightmare. Publishing details of Tessa's life with her name without her consent, he can't legally do that, right? That book would never get published. This whole plotline of Hardin writing a book is so fucking stupid. This is what I'm talking about. I just want to shake him and tell him he's being an idiot.
You're an even bigger moron than I thought you were. Get up there!
What the fuck was I dealing with when I watched this the first time? Because I actually enjoyed myself. I don't have much to say that I didn't say in my reaction, so After Ever Happy, 6 out of 10. I still think the name is stupid, and the plotline with the book is a legal nightmare that realistically would never happen. But otherwise, it's a good movie to just relax to, which is an odd thing to say about an After movie. Should we have gotten more Tessa from an After movie? Maybe. But this one isn't really about her or their relationship. This one is about Hardin and his journey to get better, which Hardin needs to make their happily ever after more satisfying. Also, obviously, Hardin and Tessa are going to get together at the end, but Vance telling Hardin, if you do, great, if you don't, that's okay too, ooh, you can keep her in your heart, is one of the things about this movie that makes the ending more satisfying to me. As much as I love watching Tessa piece herself together in the first movie, there's something I adore about watching Hardin get his life together. This movie makes me want to start writing my own books again. Hardin using his little brother to get the girl is adorable. What can I say that I didn't already say in my initial review? 9 out of 10, I love this movie, and it is a perfect end to the series. So, I know this section is called After Re-Recorded. That's because the original review was so dog shit that my voice was static for most of it. I believe it's still up on Spotify, but if you want to listen to my review, the re-recorded version is the version that's on YouTube. And if you go on Spotify, re-recorded is the one you'll want to listen to. Okay, so I'm a fucking idiot. The reason Hardin is just in Tessa's room during the first movie is because he was waiting for Steph so the two of them could go out. I'm such a bitch. I literally haven't listened to this since it was posted, and I'm so unnecessarily mean. My rating for the first movie has not changed. Both times it was an 8 out of 10. I mentioned how in After We Collided, all I see when I look at Kimberly is Caroline from the Vampire Diaries. But upon rewatching, after Ariel Kebbel took the role, all I see is Lexi from the Vampire Diaries. That is not the actress's fault, that is purely mine. I literally counted how many times they fuck in the second movie. What the hell is wrong with me?
Too many things.
So I was wrong in my initial review. The movie is set in Washington, and they do have Washington plates. I don't know why I thought they were in Georgia. Again, though, I have to ask, what the hell was I going through? I'm so bitter for, no reason. I actually rated After We Collided a 5 out of 10. I don't agree with that rating now. I still stand by my current one, but I do think that critics were unnecessarily harsh on this movie. I mean, I was too. I am also a critic who can be unnecessarily harsh. But if you look at my reviews for After We Collided, almost everybody just digs into these movies. The After series is treated like the worst piece of trash in a world where Vampire Diary exists. That movie is the bane of my existence. But here's the thing. There is merit to these movies existing. I'm not going to go super deep, I'll save that for the conclusion, but I do think these movies are better than critics make it seem. I am so mean to these movies. I rated After We Fell a 2 out of 10 and basically skipped over the plot. I know I've done this so many times already, but what the fuck was I going through when I watched these movies? I am so bitter and angry. And for what? I know I do this all the time, and I get emotional and reactive when it comes to my movie reviews. Hence why I still shit on Vampire Diary. But with these ones, I don't get it. I was just so angry. I don't even know if I was actually angry at the movie. I'm actually glad I'm doing this because clearly my opinions have changed. Why am I so angry? This one is only 4 minutes long, but again, what am I so angry about? Also find it kind of funny that I started 2024 and 2025 watching After Ever Happy. But like, I don't get it. I'm so fucking bitter for nothing. This movie isn't that bad, and the pacing improved significantly from After We Fell, which, despite the fact that I gave it a higher rating this time around, the pacing is shit. But this one I found myself getting sucked into. I genuinely don't know what was wrong with me. Hiya, editing Ashley here. So, since in between the time that it's taken to write this script and record it, I have gone to therapy. I mean, like, I've been in therapy, but I had an appointment in between when I finished the script and when I started recording. And after talking it out with her, I have come to realize that I was going through a really shitty breakup when I initially reviewed these movies, and it fucked with me a lot more than I realized. So I think that's why I was so unnecessarily angry, because I wasn't angry at the movie. I was angry about what was going on in my personal life. Not much to say, my opinion hasn't changed. So we're here. I've watched the movies and I've listened to my reviews, so where do I stand now? I understand why these movies have the fan base that they do. I know I already mentioned this, but this series is all of the things I love about teen dramas, like The Vampire Diaries, Teen Wolf, Ginny and Georgia. All of the fun, heartbreak, comedy. Now, that's not to say that these movies are flawless. They do tend to lean into the she can fix him narrative, which obviously is toxic, and ladies, you can't fix him. But I think if you look at it as a young man dealing with his addiction, because something critics, even YouTube critics, don't mention, is Hardin is an alcoholic. That's a thread through every movie, and in some way it affects his actions. So when you look at it through the lens of somebody recovering from an addiction while having this great romance, you can kind of see the appeal. I think After as a series is a masterclass in what happens when you let a movie's reputation dictate your viewing experience. So if you take anything away from this, don't let reviews affect how you view a movie. Just because a movie has bad reviews doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Remember, Jennifer's Body is loved by audiences, but it bombed with critics. So if this episode inspired you to watch the After movies, I genuinely see that as a good thing. So that's my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to suggest episodes, get updates on episodes, or you just want to chat, you can follow me on Twitter at ashleymariewt, or you can email me at ashleymariewt@gmail. Check out my Instagram, ashleymariewt, if you want to see my crochet projects or the odd picture of my cats. And check out my Tumblr, also ashleymariewt. I'm going to try and do a little bit more promotional stuff on there. And until next time, peace out.
On to the next one, bitches!